Thanks everyone for coming. Awesome to see such a massive crowd. So we'll just jump straight into it. You guys are here if you are interested in getting a software engineering internship or a grad position at a big tech company or a high frequency trading company. So if that's what you're here for, you're in the right place. Okay, so before we get started with the information seminar, just want to say a big thank you to the Competitive Programming Club and the Computer Science Club for hosting this session. They have graciously supplied the funds for the pizzas for afterwards. And if anyone wants to get involved in any of their communities, they'll both have sign-up stalls at the back left corner of the foyer after the talk. So what is RSP? So essentially, it's a 3-month, extremely intensive boot camp. I call it the Navy SEALs style boot camp, where people who are really passionately wanting to get into a big tech company or a high frequency trading company can do over the summer. And it's a completely free program, and it's led and managed by a community of students who have all done the program in the past and who mentor future students. So some quick stats of the program. Over the past 3 years, so this summer will be the 4th year that we run the program. Over the past 3 years, we've had 406 people enroll in the program, and we've only had 147 people finish the program. Of all of these people, we've had over 200 individual offers. So from the 147 people, we've had 200 individual offers from all companies around the world, and of those 200 offers, 76 of them have been from big tech companies or high frequency trading companies. And a statistic that we're all very excited about is that last summer, of all of the new software engineering interns that interned at Google Australia, 30% of them came from this program across the entire country. So it was a goal of ours to be the #1 software engineering producing university a few years ago, and I'm pretty stoked that we have managed to get that far. So Adelaide #1. So I posted a link to a talk in the advertisements that were posted around. In this information seminar, we're going to go through some of the stuff you need to do to prepare for an interview, and we're not going to go in too much depth, so we're not going to explain in absolute detail how exactly you do mock interviews and what you need to put on the resume. But I did this talk a few years ago where I do go into that detail. So if you're wanting to do the other boot camp, please go and watch this talk, because it's going to answer a lot of the questions that you might have. It's quite thorough. So, quick introduction to myself. I was an Adelaide University computer science student. I'm currently doing a Master of Philosophy over at the Australian Institute for Machine Learning. A couple months away from finishing, and during my undergraduate degree, I did software engineering internships at Google, Microsoft, Atlassian, Palantir, and I was offered a Facebook internship, but COVID messed that one up. And I'm going to be handing over the reins to Shaun here. Shaun was the coordinator from the program last year, and he's also going to be coordinating it again this year. And Shaun was a student in the program, and he was in the first cohort of the boot camp, and he managed to get quite a lot of good offers. Google, the Australian Signals Directorate, Australian Submarine Corporation. He's going to intern at Air Wallets this summer, and he's going to work at VivCourt in February, which is a high frequency trading company over in Sydney. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Shaun.
It's good to be back up here again. It's always really exciting starting another RSP season, because what we basically do is we take you more or less, underqualified, unexperienced students. We put you in this machine for 3 months, and then by the end of it, we say, all right, kid, time to go out there and compete with Australia's best computer science students. And we expect you to get something out of it if you're both lucky enough and also hardworking enough. And I'd like to outline today exactly what that process is, what that machine does to put you in that position where in 3 months' time you're ready to tackle these big companies and trading firms. And I'd like to start off with the Discord server. Now, this is where you will start the program. It's where you first join. And effectively, this is where everyone in the past has joined the program too. So you join it, and once you complete it, you stay in the Discord server. So imagine what that means. So that means that every year, an RSP cohort joins the Discord server. They stay there. The server keeps getting bigger and bigger. And previous cohorts, they start full-time work. They go across the country, across the world even. And over time, the Discord server grows to be a really rich community of full-time software engineers at these big companies. And that's the kind of community that we're trying to foster. And it's already kind of like that in many ways. So that's one thing I particularly like about the program setup. And as for the program itself, we've divided it into 4 different levels. There's just a lot to learn and a lot to do during the program. So we've sort of gamified the experience. You come into the Discord as a beginner, and this is your journey from beginner to novice is essentially the hardest part of the program. This is the novice promotion wipes out about 50% of the cohort of the RSP cohort. And the reason for that is, well, you have to read. And you have to read 86 pages of Cracking the Coding interview and 10 chapters or about 100 pages of the algorithm design manual. And we have you do this theory study because even if you've done algorithms and data structures in university, chances are you do not have sort of the breadth of understanding that you would need to be ready for the kind of coding questions that companies give to you. On the inverse, if you haven't done algorithms and data structures yet, and you do RSP first, you wouldn't even have to try in ADDS, for example. You could just breeze through that. So we have you read these textbooks, and then after 5 weeks, you will be interviewed. And then if you pass the interview, you make it to novice. Now, a very important thing to note here is that if you don't pass the interview, or if you don't meet the promotion deadline after 5 weeks, you will be kicked out of the program. This is why so many people get wiped out. But optimistically, once you do reach novice, this is sort of where the fun really begins in the program. First of all, you start your professional development. So this is where you start working on your resume, your LinkedIn, and things like that. And on top of that, you'll also be working on LeetCodes and mock interviews. So let's start with LeetCodes. For those of you who don't know, LeetCode is a website that hosts thousands of competitive programming style questions or interview questions. This is where most people go to the practice. So what we'll have you do every week is we'll have you do 10 of these questions with a majority of mediums and 2 hards. And so that'll be about 50 LeetCode questions by the end of novice. So by the time you should reach intermediate. And this is where you will be recording your LeetCode questions. So you'll be having your question, and then you also record how long it took you to solve that question. Now, this is very important. 3 months isn't a long time, so we want to give you as much experience performing under pressure as possible. So the moment you start the question and you start your timer, you do not leave your desk until either you finish the question or 2 hours have passed. And we have you wait for 2 hours even if you have no idea what to do, because this is the kind of conditioning that you would be facing in like an online assessment or a real interview, and to just sort of desensitize yourself to that and also to learn kind of through the pain of it as well. So over time, you'll have this graph to see your progress during RSP this summer. And you'll also get to do mock interviews. In my opinion, this is the most fun part of the program, because this is where you really get to simulate that sort of interview interaction with another person. You'll be doing, so mock interviews are essentially, you find someone else in RSP, you sit them, you sort of join online with them, and you exchange a mock interview for 45 minutes. It consists of behavioral and 2 LeetCode questions, 1 easy, 1 medium. And what's really good is that if you do this with enough people and enough mock interviews, you get different experiences with each person, because each person has a different interviewing style, and you have a different, and you'll have to respond to that in different ways. But probably the best thing about the mock interviews is its scoring system. Because as you've seen in the video, if you get below a 5 for any category or any of the criteria for a mock interview, you fail the entire interview. And this is by design, because the harder the mock interviews are set up, it'll make real interviews a lot easier. They'll feel a lot easier when you're in there. So you go through this pain enough, and you kind of desensitize yourself to failing these. And on top of that, it'll also force you to focus on micro improvements for every little thing. Because you could be doing spectacularly well on most categories, but if you fall behind on one, you'll have to improve on that. So that's how these are set up. So yeah, once you do your professional development, 50 leak codes and 10 mock interviews, you'll have to promote to novice. Again, this is also required promotion. You'll have to make this by the deadline. But then once you're a novice, you basically do what you did once you're an intermediate, you do what you did in novice, but again. So you'll be doing another 50 leak codes and another 10 mock interviews. And on top of that, you'll have to do a few more things. You'll have to make a portfolio website. You'll have to have a cover letter template written up. You'll have to add volunteering experiences to your resume, and also join a coding competition or hackathon. So at about early February, the competitive programming club will be hosting a coding competition that will be compulsory for you to join. So that criteria will be checked off if you're at that stage of the program anyway. And then there's advanced. So the thing about advanced is that it's not required that you make it to this point of the program. What is necessary though is that you make it to intermediate, but then advanced is just optional. However, there's been a really high correlation between people who make it to advanced and people who thrive in the hiring seasons. And this is especially true when there's particularly rough hiring in different seasons, for example, during recessions. And we highly encourage you to shoot for advanced if you can. Now keep in mind though, if advanced is your goal for the program, you will need to get the first promotion to novice as soon as possible, ideally within the first few weeks. We haven't had anyone who's reached advanced not promote early. So that would probably mean, doing all of your theory study beforehand, and maybe even working on projects throughout that's something I forgot to mention. You'll also be working on projects during novice and during intermediate. So yeah, working on these in parallel would also be beneficial for you to reach advanced by the end of the program. Okay, so how do we actually track you, or keep track of your progress? So every Monday you'll have to submit a progress report like this one, and this report will essentially be like how many hours you've done and the content or the things that you did to contribute to those hours. And we do this so that we can see, we can make sure that you're going to meet your promotional deadlines. And the people who will be overlooking this are going to be your mentors. So if you join the program, you'll be assigned a mentor, and your mentor will of course be the person doing your interviews. They'll be the person tracking your progress, but more importantly, there'll be someone who's like a constant source of guidance for you. And we hope that this is a connection that you can maintain both during the program and after the program as well. So we hope this is a valuable connection that you can maintain. Did I miss anything there? No problem. And so something that I added to this program last year are seminars. We called them lectures at the time, but they are more like seminars. They're essentially run every Sunday online, and they are very student driven. So if there's any topics or questions that you have, they'll sort of be addressed there. And we also go through very common how-tos, or really important how-tos, like how to write your resume, how to get referrals, etc. And also we'll have a mock interview demo. This is really cool. You get to see two of our mentors do a mock interview demo with each other. Sort of, you can learn from the best in that sense. And it's also a chance for you to ask questions. Pass it over. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Shaun. So, going by the first statistic that I showed, that only 147 people finish the program from 400 people starting it, it's probably clear that this program is not an easy program. And like, there's a reason why we have made this such a hard program. And maybe we can take a step back and think about, have some perspective here. Google Australia, I'll use them as like the company I'm referring to, but the same thing applies to all the other big tech companies or high frequency trading companies. So Google Australia received around 7,000 applications from computer science students wanting to do a software engineering internship with them, but they only take about 30 people. So this program is supposed to be designed to take you from possibly only coding for 1 year. So this is designed for object-oriented programming students. If you've done more than that, that's excellent. We have had some people that have only done MATLAB and C who have done well as well, but this program is perfectly designed to for people to come in starting in object-oriented programming. So if that's our goal, then we are trying to teleport these people from being object-oriented programming students all the way into being the top 0.4% of applicants going for Google. And the only way to do that is to absolutely work your asses off over the summer. It's not going to be like the most healthy thing to do. You know, you're probably going to be working many more hours than you would want to be working, but there is simply no other choice. If you really want to get that offer, it's simply something that you're going to have to do. You're going to have to sacrifice your summer and no life the whole summer just to guarantee that you can get offers at as many companies as you can get offers at. The expectations of the program. The best way to think of it is the program is equivalent to you coming to university as an undergraduate student, doing 4 university courses and trying to get HDs for all 4 of those courses. If you think about that, how much work is actually required to do that? It's not a small amount. And if you think about it, would you be able to successfully get 4 HDs for a subject while working full-time or working part-time or doing an entirely different project? Some people can do it. They're freaks of nature. I'm not that kind of person, and I think most people aren't that type of person. So keep that in mind. If you're coming into the program and you want to do the best job possible and get to advanced and get that really great offer, don't overload if you can. I know some people need to work to pay bills and rent, and we definitely have accommodations to allow for that. And really the main accommodation we have is if you are forced to do something else in the summer and you're trying to do RSP at the same time, then really our requirement is, if that's you and you fit that category, then we have moved the role promotion forwards for you, and you need to get promoted within the first week of the program. And the reason for that is because there is only one thing that's going to allow you to pass these big tech company interviews, and that is putting as many hours as you can into leak code and mock interviews. And you can't wait till January for that if you're going to be working part-time whilst trying to do those leak code problems. You need to get started on them way sooner because you're going to be slightly busy all summer. So primarily we try and pick people who have got nothing else on in the summer. So that's the big message I want to send. It's going to be a hard program, lots and lots of work to do. So key dates of the program. The program starts a week after the last exam happens for uni, the 20th of November. And for everybody who are only doing RSP and are not overloading, doing other things at the same time, their role promotion deadline to get to finish all the theory study is first week of January, on the 5th of January. And if you're a person who gets promoted at the very last second on the 5th of January, then you'll have to smash out your 50 leak code problems, 10 mock interviews, and all the other requirements to get from novice to intermediate by the 9th of February. So ideally, even if you're a student coming in who is only doing RSP, get promoted, get that theory study finished in December, because you want to make sure you can hit the intermediate deadline by the 9th of February. And I'll repeat, the reason why this is so strict is because you don't have much time. You suddenly need to be Google ready, or Jane Street interviews ready, or Optiva ready by March or April, which is when these companies will be interviewing you. So there isn't much time. So now I'm going to bring Shaun back up on stage, and also Jason Bay. So this program has only really been running smoothly because we are all right now in Adelaide, and we're running it from Adelaide locally. And a big fear of ours is that when we leave, so I'm planning to go overseas to try and get a PhD. Shaun and Jason are going to be leaving Adelaide to work interstate and overseas as well. And the fear is that the program won't survive if we just leave. And the way that we've figured out how to keep it running is to wrap the program up into a legal entity as a nationally recognized not-for-profit charity, so it can remain free forever. And that also opens up avenues for us to get sponsors from government, universities, and all of the companies that we're providing software engineers for. So that's the future that we're currently working on, and we're currently spinning it up into a charity at the moment. And yeah, it just means that we're going to be surviving for a long time.
Yeah. And one thing we were really excited about noticing recently in RSP is that recruiters and also other students from across Australia, not just Adelaide, have been recognizing the program and showing interest. So, we saw this as something that we have to do moving forward, is to expand nationally. So opening like RSP programs, not just in Adelaide, but in other universities as well across Australia. So that's something we're actively trying to do right now. And on top of that, one unfortunate thing about the program, sending everyone to all these companies, is that they go all over the place. They go to Sydney's, all the way to America. And so we're connected on the Discord, but that's pretty much it. So we thought it would be nice to periodically have an event, so like an alumni event for the alumni, like a fancy ball where we can all just gather and have an exchange and dialogue.
One thing that we are very excited is the web portal that we are gonna build. So before I introduce like the web portal, I'll talk a little bit about myself. So I'm Jason Bay, as Ravi mentioned. I was a RSP student 2 years ago and an RSP mentor last year. Alongside with Shaun, I've interned in Google Sydney on the Google Maps team with Shaun as well. Moving forward, like Ravi mentioned, I'll be moving to Taiwan to join Google Taiwan to work on their Google Pixel team product actually. But in that sense, coming back to the web portal, one thing that we are very excited is the web portal. So what we are planning to build is that we want this web portal to streamline all of the manual efforts that is currently held in this RSP program. Like Shaun and Ravi mentioned previously, the whole RSP program has a tremendous amount of manual efforts that come from both the coordinators as well as the mentors that pour their effort and time into this program. To keep track of your progress and to make sure that you do well for the program, we make sure that there are a lot of time and effort that we spend to make sure that you get that good guidance to get that dream offer that you want. So in essence, we thought of a solution, and the solution is to build the web portal that basically streamlines and automates all of these manual efforts. On top of that, we plan to build an additional extra features as well to enhance your experience as students and to make sure that RSP program goes on forever.
Yeah. Also, I forgot to mention that there is a fourth member officially, Costa, who is founding this charity with us as well. He's been away for 2 weeks in Europe, so he couldn't be here today. But yeah, there is one more person as well. That's the future of the program and what we're aiming for. So the application form is open right now. A lot of you have already applied. We've seen lots of your applications, and the due date is approaching. So in a week and a half, or soon the applications will be up. And we get about 250 to 300 applications each year, but we only have capacity for each mentor to get about 14 students each, because they will also be interning full-time whilst mentoring, so we can't have an infinite amount of students. So we take between 180 to 200 people across our mentors. So if you're wanting to get into the program, make sure you put some effort into the application, just to make sure that you're noticed. If someone doesn't put much effort into the application, that can be a reason for them not to get accepted, because we don't accept any resumes, because a lot of you don't have resumes yet, because that's why you're doing the program. So all we really have to go by is your answers on the application form. So if you there's a QR code where you can access the application form. You can also access the application form on all of the ads that have been posted by the course coordinators, and on the Discord servers, and on all the posters that are around Incarnating broadly. You'll also be able to access this as well. If you have any questions, please email Shaun. What we want to do right now is we want to bring up some people on stage. So if you're one of those people that Shaun has contacted, could you please come up and stand in a line on the side? These people standing up have all gotten some really amazing offers, and usually the crowd is double this size, but I think half of us are right now in Sydney, because a lot of them have started working full time already. So unfortunately, the cohort of people we can come up and bring up on stage has dwindled. But what I'll get everyone to do is just say who they are, and say what companies they got offers from, and I think importantly, what subject were they doing before they did RSP, because that kind of matters to you guys to hear that directly from the horse's mouth. So we'll start on your side, Tom.
Yeah, sure. Good to meet you all. My name's Tom Fruit. I got offers from Optiva and Atlassian, and before RSP, I just did object-oriented programming.
Hi, I'm Sebastian Thomas. I got offers from Jane Street and CUNY Capital, and right before RSP, I was doing object-oriented programming.
Hi, I'm Sheila. I have got offers from Google, Amazon, Optiva, and IMC. And before science program, I just did.
I'm Jack. I got Optivas from Atlassian, Citadel, and Jane Street. And before RSP, I was doing object-oriented programming.
Hi, I'm Ren. I got offers from. I did a internship at CUNY Capital last year, and now I'm going to be working at Cisco full time. Before I joined RSP, I did object-oriented programming.
Hey, I'm Devansh, and I did ADSA before RSP, and I've got offer from Atlassian.
I'm Luca. I got an offer from Atlassian, and before doing RSP, I just did object-oriented programming.
Everyone, I'm Puya. I did RSP in first year, having done OP, and I got an offer from Atlassian.
I'm Milan. I did OOP before RSP, and I got offers from Atlassian and Jane Street.
Hello everyone, my name's Zach, and I got offers from Google and Atlassian, and I had done OOP before the program.
Hello everyone, so my name's Vaibhav, and I did RSP after object-oriented programming. I got offers from Deloitte, where I interned last year, and this year I'll be interning at Atlassian.
Awesome, thank you. So a few of us are going to remain on stage for some quick Q&A, and we're going to have some mic runners running up and down, passing the microphones around. Thank you, everyone. If you have some questions for them, these people, after the talk, we'll all be going up to get pizzas, so please seek them out, ask them questions. They all know quite a lot of information, so they're a rich source of information to pick their brains.
Hello. I'm actually studying a master's in computing and innovation. So we didn't really did like OOP or ADDA or like introduction to programming, whatever. We did like foundation in Python in our first semester. So, and I saw in the Google form just now, there's no choice for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's completely fine. Going into it, I hadn't done much coding whatsoever. I'd done OOP, but I was not proficient at all. I guess along the way, doing mock interviews and also going through all the theory, you'll learn it all and you'll pick it up in whatever language you choose. We choose I think we say C++, Python, or Java. So whatever you're most confident in, or which one you want to learn, is fine. And I think, like Ravi said, some people have just done MATLAB and C, and they've done great as well. So it's really just down to how much effort you put in, I guess.
So I noticed that from the beginner to the novice, there's apparently an interview process, and that is something that's not as at a fixed date. Well, it's before the 5th of January. With that interview process, we can potentially fail. Are we given multiple chances to failure, or can we, is it just you fail once and you're just out?
Yeah, so you'll get multiple chances. Ideally, you'd want to be passing on your first try, but if you don't, that's fine. You'll be able to talk with your mentor afterwards about, what went wrong, and you'll be able to, study a bit more and have another go.
Is the whole course online, so we can just access it anywhere? We don't have to go in?
Yeah, totally. It's all hosted online. Everything from doing leak codes to doing mock interviews and your promotion interviews are all totally hosted online. You can do mock interviews in person, and it does sort of help with getting the experience, but it's definitely not required.
So I've been doing a little bit of prep for this program, regardless of what I get in beforehand. And regarding projects, would you recommend that if we're doing projects to put on a resume, you would like them to be in a similar vein, like you don't want to do different domains, for example? Is it okay to do vastly different types of projects?
Yeah, I guess other people might have a different aspect of this, but I think having a wide variety of projects is a good approach. Just because lots of companies considering a high frequency trading firm or Atlassian, they're going to be hiring different roles. So maybe for a high frequency trading company, you might want to show some Python and C++ skills, but for Atlassian, they do look at, or another tech company, they look at your web development skills as well. So and even mobile development. So I think just having as wide a variety of projects you can is only beneficial.
I might add to that. For the projects, the main thing that we care about is that they're meaty enough that if you get asked questions in an interview, that there's going to be some things that you can talk about. So if it was like a tiny little OOP project, and an interviewer starts asking questions like, please explain the hardest bug you had to solve, or please explain conflicts with teammates, or please explain what did you learn the most. And the smaller the personal project is, the less you're going to have to talk about. And the most important thing to remember is if you don't have any professional work experience as a software engineer, that's okay, but it's only okay because you have personal projects. So they're essentially replacing your full-time work experience. So they need to be big enough that you can talk about it. Yeah, that's something to keep in mind.
Hello. I'm doing MATLAB and C and doing OOP right now, but my degree is not computer science. Can I still get accepted into the program?
Yeah, that's fine. I was doing electrical engineering when I first joined the program. So yeah, it doesn't matter as long as you're interested and you have that foundational programming experience, then yeah, it's completely fine.
Thank you.
Also, important to know as well, you don't actually need any degree to get hired at Google, for example. The person who sat next to me in my internship had literally just graduated from high school. I felt it was a very interesting feeling knowing that someone can just jump straight in, but anything's possible. So yeah, not only do you not need to be computer science degree, you don't even need a degree to do the program. Yeah.
To build up from the personal project question, if we are able to find some extra time somehow, whether it be through arcane black magic, would it be better to then try and organize a group project so in that way we would have more experience working collaboratively, or is just going straight to personal projects and just having a bunch of them be better in that regard? I guess in some regard a quality versus quantity debate.
Yeah, I think group projects definitely help towards your case, especially because, most software engineering teams do work quite closely in teams. But I think definitely the most important thing is to be pretty deeply connected with your project and be able to answer interview questions about it. Whether you prefer to do that in a group or individually is not really important, as long as you are, I guess, very much into whatever project you're doing.
There's also one really good utility of doing a group project. that's worth considering, and it's that one hole that I found personally as well is that when I was given a behavioral interview, most of the time, or a large proportion of them, would be group related. So how well do you work in a team? How do you deal with conflict, etc. So having a good group project on your resume gives you the opportunity to sort of tick off a lot of the boxes on when they assess you for teamwork and things like that.
Which key criteria that you will choose the participant in the RSP? Because like I have no background about technical skill, but I really want to learn and to work in Google. So which key of great criteria that you choose for the participant?
If I understand the question correctly, so you're in a position now where you don't have much technical experience, but you want to be so you want to tick that sort of fundamentals box before you join RSP so that you're ready to. Okay, yeah. So there's still some time, obviously, like before RSP begins. Best thing I can recommend to you is to there's many resources online to quickly catch up on object-oriented programming. Just the basics is completely fine. It's been fleshed out enough such that there's many sort of like quick crash courses or quick YouTube tutorials that you could go through to get that foundational experience in. Maybe even start working on a project straight away or start reading the textbook straight away. So yeah, that's definitely not a problem. If you also detail that out in your application that you've started that work, even if you haven't done OOP, for example, then we can see that and we can obviously definitely consider you in that case. And yeah, so get started early is my advice. And then if you have that and you go through the program, even with like minimal experience beforehand, if you put in the hours during the program, you can definitely be in a very strong position at the end to tackle like online companies' coding interviews.
Hello. Can I join the program if I'm not at least a university student?
Yeah, definitely. We have tons of students who are applying all over the country as well. Some from UNSW. Even University of South Australia, some from Queensland, for example. Yeah, RSP is slowly growing in terms of our name, and we definitely accept like students all over.
We've also had students from Georgia do the program, from someone from San Francisco, someone from England, over the last 3 years. Yeah, we get random applications, and you know, if they're keen to learn how to get into a company, then we'll take them. Yeah.
Hi guys, I really enjoyed the whole thing and I really like how diverse everybody is. But I just want to ask, right, from a crowd where it's so diverse from different countries, how hard is it to get an offer as an international student?
So, as an international student myself from Malaysia, I can just say right off the bat that there are in fact less companies that might accept us. These are due to various reasons. For example, they are not in a position to sponsor our visa. For example, when we have finished like graduating and we have used up all of our work visa, our graduate visa, or even they are not in a position to sponsor our visa because they are doing defense related work, which is fair. But I can also confidently say that there are a lot of companies out there who are willing to take in international students. It doesn't mean that just because you're an international student, then you can't apply to any companies or they don't want you at all. In fact, there are tons of companies who want you. At the end of the day, like what Ravi and Shaun mentioned as well, if you are willing to work hard and you get lucky, companies will take you in and even give you chance to interview and maybe even offer you like sponsorship if you're lucky.
Based on the previous question, does companies apply filters to international students? Like based on the previous question, does the company treat differently between international students and domestic students? Are there any difference?
I would say at the end of the day, across like all of the companies, they just want candidates and employees who are willing to do the job. So at the end of the day, if you're able to demonstrate that ability in your resume and in your interview experiences, and of course, if they accept international students, they will also have already given you an interview. And if you're able to pass all of that, I'm pretty confident that they'll take you in nonetheless because you're able to excel in the job.
Thank you. Just another question. GP grade point average like take the important factor during applying to the internship?
I think the general rule of thumb is if you don't want your GPA on there, just don't leave it on your CV, and they probably won't ask for it or ever know of it. I think we say over 6 and over, keep it on your resume, and then if it's lower than that, you can take it off if you want. Yeah, most companies won't ask for a transcript, but some do. But I don't know if they even look at it. But yeah, not really. No, wouldn't say it matters.
So, I have applied for a company before who did ask my transcript, and I don't have the perfect GPA, or I didn't have a perfect GPA. I failed 2 courses, had 2 passes, 2 credits, and the rest were distinctions and HDs. So I had a mix. I wasn't a perfect student, and the period when I didn't perform too well, I had some personal stuff happening at that moment in my life, and I have had an interviewer ask me, or a recruiter ask me about it, and all you simply need to do is explain, oh, this was happening in my life, but if you look after that, I was doing very well, so that was just something that I've already gotten over. And if you can just have some explanation of what happened there, and give some reassurances that that's past me, that isn't future me, then as long as you can convince them of that, then it's fine.
Hi. So, as I understand, completing this program will equip you with the skills to actually convincingly apply to big tech companies. But let's assume that you actually graduate from this program. Would it be worth it to actually put that on your resume at this point in time?
Does anyone have it on their program? Have it on their resume? You got it on his resume? Anyone else have it on the resume? Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
It actually, okay, so I was having a conversation with someone, and apparently one of the recruiters at Atlassian, they are starting to recognize Ravi's study program on the resume. So right now it's unfortunately not known enough for it to be something that they immediately recognize as a positive credential. But if we just do it enough times, they're going to notice, right?
So the answer is yes. Everyone must put it on their resumes. Also, if you wanted to fill it up and have more community involvement, it's definitely a community involvement activity. So for sure, if you want to, pad the resume, for sure, add it on.
So what are you looking for in a student applying to RSP?
Okay, I guess I'm the best person to answer that. So we mainly look for, the first thing we check for is whether you meet the basic requirements. You can put in the 30 hours, or if you're doing something else at the same time, that we can fit you into the program, and that you don't have a whole month break during the summer, for example, or that you can complete the program from start to finish. That's the first thing we look out for. Beyond that, we look out for how interested you are specifically in landing a software engineering role at one of these big tech companies. So yeah, meeting the basic requirements and also showing a lot of interest. Personal projects and things like that are a bonus. So, okay, personal projects, previous internships, etc., they're a bonus if you're in a position where you're doing something on top of RSP and you fall into that group of students who need their requirements adjusted slightly. So in that case, extra things will come into play with a lot more significance, but for the most part, it's interest that we're looking for, and enthusiasm as well.
All right, thanks, Shaun.
Hi, I want to ask, how long did it take to get an offer after you finished the program? And what do you think is the most useful thing you learned in the program when you go to the work?
So in terms of the first question, how long does it take on average to complete the program? So most people will reach the deadline, the end of the program, without having gotten to advanced. So essentially, you're working all the way through it, and there really isn't a set completion date, although there is a graduation party that we have afterwards. So yeah, essentially for most people it'll be all the way through. But in terms of people who finish early, although they continue working on it, and by finish early I mean getting to advanced, that happened, I think the earliest was in January, late January. Yeah. And I think most people tend to be kind of so I was like early February, and so most people tend to kind of complete it around that time in like the few weeks before it officially ends.
Did you also, I think you might have also asked how long it takes to get an offer after you complete the program? Yeah, okay. So in that case, so applications generally start for most of the, so some companies like Atlassian and Optiver, they start opening applications straight away. It depends on the hiring season, but you can probably predict applications opening as early as February and March. So you do generally need to at least have your resume and LinkedIn ready by then, even if you haven't promoted, so you can apply to those straight away. Generally, you won't see many major applications opening after halfway through the year. There will be some sporadically spread out, but for the most part, it happens during the first half of it.
And the last thing I wanted to add before we wrap the Q&A up is if you finish the program, then you're going to have to keep working on getting referrals. So that's going to be a big task for you. So if you want to guarantee landing the interview, which can be the hardest part, a really easy way to make that happen is to get a referral from that company. And we have an hour seminar in the program where we explain like how to do that. Essentially, it's spamming people on LinkedIn, but there's more to it. But that will take a lot of effort, and you will likely need to keep doing leak code and keep doing mock interviews. All right. Well, anyways, thank you so much, and enjoy the pizzas. Hopefully, they're not too cold.